Hey all, here are OS Reviews. Today we're taking a closer look at the TaoTronics SoundLiberty Pro P10. These are a pair of TWS wireless buds selling for under $50 that have active noise cancellation. It is sounding a little bit repetitive because we also just saw another pair with ANC at the exact same price called the TronSmart Onyx Apex, and so it really seems like these wireless buds are starting to stabilize in terms of pricing. In particular, the TaoTronics that we're looking at here offers an interesting trade-off compared to the TronSmart that we just saw, in that the TronSmart did have Qualcomm's aptX support. They use a Realtek chip, so it supports just SBC and AAC default Bluetooth codecs. However, it has one trick that the TronSmart is missing. But it has a third function which is called the wind reduction mode. That is, if you are wearing these and you're riding a bike, or if you're on an e-scooter and you're outdoors where it's really windy and you're listening to music, it will try to cancel out just the wind noise. Whereas ANC works best with lower frequency sounds, this wind reduction mode tries to cancel out some of the mid-frequency sounds around you. It also has a auto detection mode, which was one other thing that the TronSmarts are missing, so it will automatically play and pause your music when you pop them in and when you remove them. It's worth noting here that the driver size is a little smaller than the Onyx Apex, which had 10mm drivers. In terms of battery life, with the casing here, these will get you up to 33 hours when on the road, which is longer than the TronSmarts, which had 24 hours, and they have IPX8 rating as well. Underneath, in terms of accessories, we've got just a USB Type-C charging cable, some spare silicone tips, as well as a quick start guide that will tell you how to access the controls, which, just like the TronSmart, I'm glad to see you have the ability to control everything using the touch sensors, including the ability to change the volume level as well just by tapping once on the left or the right side, which I always like to see. Taking a closer look at the design of the battery case, I do like the fact that it has kind of a dimple on the middle there that actually makes it look a little bit more distinctive compared to some of the other cases that we've seen recently, and overall it has a coating which is made out of this soft touch rubber material. That means that it is pretty easy to grip and resistant to attracting too much fingerprints. Base here just has a USB Type-C port for charging, and that is pretty much it. Very lightweight. Here it is next to the Redmi AirDot case, just as a quick contrast, and also, let's say, the regular AirPods, it's also not too far off. So these are, again, very compact in terms of the casing. In terms of sliding into a pocket, you really won't have any problems on this particular model. Opening up the case, they will automatically turn on and start to pair with your device. Do have a longer stem compared to the TronSmarts that we just saw. It's a little closer to the actual AirPods in terms of their length, although still a tad shorter, and overall they are still quite lightweight. It's made out of a polycarbonate plastic but has two tones. The front here is glossy, and then we have more of a matte soft touch material on the other edges, as you can see there. Overall, it's pretty sensitive in terms of responding to my taps during testing. Pretty ergonomic and standard design going on. This little part here is going to be the autoplay and pause proximity sensor that can detect if you're wearing it or not. So it's not too flashy, nothing we haven't seen before, but still it's comfortable and pretty lightweight. I felt that wearing these for a few hours didn't really encounter any stress or strain. Moving into audio quality and performance. As alluded to towards the beginning of this video, the market is just flooded with options at this point. I do think that this is a product category that has more or less reached maturity at this point, just like smartphones these days. It's harder and harder to really distinguish between options unless you have a major breakthrough. With that being said, these do sound solid. If you like bass, you'll definitely appreciate these. Just like with the Onyx Apex, they had a nice punch in terms of lower frequency sounds and drum beats. They sounded alive, and it was great also for EDM, for pop music, sounded awesome. Mids and trebles also gave me plenty of detail and things like vocals. If I had to be super nitpicky, maybe trebles, again, do sound a little bit more recessed compared to the Onyx Apex, and that probably is just due to the fact that these have smaller drivers, so it's harder to squish as rich and wide sound out, but that's being pretty extreme. Overall, I would say they sound close to those other models that we just tried out, which is to say excellent for the price and pretty good for almost any genre of music that you'll be listening to. Now, despite not having aptX, connectivity was also very strong. I was able to watch a video on YouTube and Netflix, and the audio and video were synced together pretty much without any problems, which was great. The only thing to keep in mind, though, is that these don't have a dedicated low latency mode, or gaming mode, that is. So if you are trying to play back the most demanding of titles, then that's, well, one area where maybe the Onyx Apex with the adaptive aptX can have a slight advantage. But if you aren't doing something super demanding, and again, just watching a video, mostly listening to music, this really wouldn't pose a problem. Interestingly, just like the Onyx Apex though, these do have a tiny amount of distortion, just a very small kind of white noise, maybe it's some type of interference or disturbance, but it's not completely crystal silent, so it's not really a problem, especially as the music starts playing. You'll get easily enveloped in the music and not really notice that anymore, but I did want to point it out, and actually the level of noise there is very similar to when active noise cancellation is turned on. In fact, if we move into active noise cancellation, I would say it's also par on par with other budget hybrid ANC buds that we've tried in the past, which is to say it's pretty good. It'll get you roughly 70 to 80% of low frequency noises canceled out, so that includes the sound of a car engine if you're on a plane, also things like the sound of a fan. These all get repressed very well, and you're able to listen to music without having to turn the volume quite as high. However, again, humans' voices, people talking, those kind of chatter can still creep through, so it's not necessarily to the same extent as some of the Sony's or Bose's buds, which can get you even higher levels of active noise cancellation. For what it is, I think it works well, and I'm glad to see that it's a feature that you can toggle on when you need it. The audio transparency mode, or the ambient mode, allows you to hear what's going on without removing the buds by using the mics to magnify the sound around you, and that also worked without too many issues, though just like my remarks on the Onyx Apex, again, it's surprisingly cut and paste, comparing them right after each other, is I did find that the volume level there could be a little bit low in terms of the magnification, but still good enough, I think, to have a conversation and working well as that feature. Now the new part here, which is that anti-wind mode, was also something that did make a difference. I tried testing it out when I was biking outdoors earlier, and when I flicked it on, in fact, I was able to listen to the music without having to turn the volume as high, and even compared to when I had ANC turned on, and in the exact same scenario, the wind mode did work a little bit better, and also better than the Onyx Apex if I had it on with the regular ANC mode. It's just a matter of weighing the pros and cons in terms of, again, TronSmart having some features that these are missing, and vice versa, and thinking about what functions you prioritize the most. So that's it in terms of our hands-on review. Thanks for watching here at OS Reviews. It's been the TronSmart SoundLiberty Pros P10.